Good Friday morning, everyone. We are back. We are back with another episode of PT on Ice, the daily show. We keep that trend alive. As a shout out to Gary Vee. This is awesome. It's rolling. It's hot and heavy. It's not going away. Season 7 ended, and it's smooth transition right into the daily show. I've been passing the mic around all week, and it's been a great time. So it's Friday. It's Fitness Athlete Friday. So I'm grabbing the mic this week. Going to be passing it around these upcoming Fridays between Zach, Ryan, and Jason London. The topic this week, somewhat controversial, may leave a few people upset at me, and for that I apologize. It's not my intent. The title here, Movement Expert, Earned Not Given. And keep in mind the perspective of which I'm looking at this from, right? And this is Fitness Athlete Friday. I work with a lot of folks who reach out to me and are often like, how do I get established in these CrossFit gyms or these high-level fitness facilities? And so that's a different level of movement at that point. We can all agree that individuals that are seeking this CrossFit, functional fitness, this high-level movement capacity stuff, that's a different level of movement compared to our traditional outpatient orthopedic setting as it is. So keep that in mind. But here's what I want to pose. And it's because the the APTA, I've been saying APHPT so much, it just kind of comes out. The APTA even makes this statement. If you go to their homepage and it's as their benefits of finding a career in physical therapy, they say, be a movement expert. Physical therapists are highly educated experts in movement and the function of the human body, right? So it's our tagline now as a profession as a whole that we are movement experts. I love that title. I think it's really cool. I think it's something that we should be promoting if we have the credentials and the knowledge and the understanding to back it up. And unfortunately, it's my belief that I don't think that we are just granted that title after DPT graduation. And I think a lot of high level, high performers in certain various movement specialties would agree with that sentiment, right? In any individual who's pursuing excellence in a niche, in a craft, and then to see a full profession, the generalist, coming out and saying that they are experts in it as well is a little off-putting to some, I can imagine, right? And so we're crowned with this movement expert title that I don't believe is rightfully bestowed upon us. And so that's kind of the talk here is that, if we really want to grab this title of movement experts, I think there's a deeper level of understanding that has to take place outside of the textbook. I love the idea of being a movement system expert. I think that's a slight delineation from just movement expert, right? We understand the movement system, which is the body and its anatomy, physiology, pathoanatomy, biomechanics, rehabilitation, right? Having a movement system understanding, but to be experts of movement require movement, right? If you're going to step out and say, I am an expert marksman, I would expect to watch you shoot and have you be a really good shot, right? If you're a swimming expert, if we got in the pool together, I would expect some really high quality swimming, Michael Phelps type stuff. That's what I'm looking for. If you are a running expert, I would have envisioned you've ran some races, probably some pretty long ones, and done relatively decent for yourself. But to then categorize all things under movement and say we are the expert in it, and to have no actual boots on the ground experience of our own seems just a little misplaced. And that's kind of the lens that I approach this from. And I don't want people to misinterpret what I'm saying. What I'm not saying is that you have to be the best in all movement categories. Obviously not. That just doesn't happen. That's not possible. What I am saying, what I do believe, the real pitch for today is that I believe that we should be striving to become competent in a lot of these movement areas. That we should be working towards. Listen, if we're preaching a movement-rich lifestyle, if that's the intervention that we're going to go with as to hang our hat on, that graded exposure to movement, progressive overload over time, building resilience in the body, and we're going to use functional movements and a variety of stuff that's important to the individual in front of us, we should also be walking that walk as well. We should be striving to become more competent in the things that we believe are important to our patients as well, so that, to have that full mastery of that content, we can not only talk about it, we not only understand it from the textbook level, but we have a deep understanding from the application level because we've applied these concepts to our own self, to our own training, right? I love what Jeff says about, I understand your squat stability limitation because I read about it in a textbook. No, you don't. You understand it because you've battled one yourself and you've tried to apply cues that you've heard from various other experts in the field who have squatted for a long time, and you've applied them to yourself. You've figured out what works and what doesn't, and you've watched what cues have brought about a better movement output, and you've continued to apply them over time. And that's how you build a deep level understanding of that concept, so that when someone shows up, you can say, yeah, I know exactly what you're going through. I went through something similar, or I worked on some things myself. Here's what I found that worked out really, really well. Having that full expert mentality is one part knowledge, and we definitely have the knowledge in any field. When we're looking at these providers as a whole, as clinicians as a whole, we have the knowledge. What we need is the deep understanding of the application, and we should be striving towards reaching a level of competency in these movements when we want to step out and say we're the movement experts. Ryan's got a quote right there. PC version by me. Yeah. I'm trying to keep it PC. We're on Facebook Live. It's different from our online cohort when I just let some other things fly, right? At the end of the day, why I see this to be an issue, right? Why is this is great? Like Mitch, you're saying, like Ryan said, walk the walk, right? We get that concept, but why is this an issue? It's a hindrance to us. It holds us back because we walk around with this big label on our forehead that we've placed there that says, I am the expert. And it's super, super off-putting to a lot of other professionals. It hurts our interprofessional reliance, right? Relationships. I see this in the CrossFit environment. There's a lot of folks now that want to get out and help and come alongside the CrossFit athlete, right? That's our motto, come alongside the CrossFit athlete. And that's great. But they approach it from I am on top of the hill and I'm going to go ahead and take steps down the hill to help you guys out because I am the expert, of course, you all know, and thus you need my services. And it doesn't go well ever. No gym owner ever who's been established for 5-7 years, who has been improving people's movement 10 to 20 people at a time, taking a group of folks and making a squat from looking like a train wreck to making it look relatively safe that we can load it up. They've been doing this 5 classes a day, 6 days a week for 7 years. And you come waltzing in the door with a DPT education and say, no, you've been doing it all wrong. See, I'm the movement expert. You should listen to me. Of course that doesn't go well, right? And rightfully so. I'll be honest, if I was in those shoes, I'd tell you to get out the door, right? And don't come back until you can squat 2 extra body weight, right? Because that demonstrates to me that you have some expertise, that you have some level of competency in this area. If you're going to step into this realm and proclaim expertise in this realm, I'm going to want to see some kung fu, right? And we say this a lot, like, show me your kung fu. Let's see your expertise that you claim that you have. This matters very, very much so in this fitness CrossFit athlete environment, right? Not saying that you got to walk in and be the best CrossFit athlete at all. I'm not even saying that you got to walk in and have competency in all domains because that takes people a long time. But I believe that you should have some competency in some of the prime fundamental movements that we should be able to do. You should have a competent squat, deadlift, press overhead, right? You should be able to lunge, stand up. You should be able to run a decent length, right? There's some areas here that we should have some competence in. If we want to combine that with our expertise in the book, with our knowledge, understanding, working with individuals on a clinical level, and come in and say, yeah, I think I understand these components. I can draw dots to all of them, and I can provide some real value to you folks. It's different when you come in and you say, I'm the movement expert, and the gym owner says, here's a PVC pipe, show me a snatch, and you don't even know what it is. Or says, here's 100 pounds on a barbell, can you go ahead and back squat it for me? And you don't reach parallel, right? It's really, it just does not line up, does not compute when you roll into certain environments and proclaim you're a movement expert in those environments. People that I look at as movement experts, right? Who's really a movement expert that's really doing this? People like Chris Johnson, right? Out there in Seattle. Huge respect for Chris, just brilliant guy, and been fortunate to talk with him on a few different virtual platforms. Look forward to meeting up sometime if I'm on the West Coast. But dude, Chris Johnson builds out a running and triathlete, very niche specific clinic because he walks the freaking walk, right? He's got what's his profile? 3-time All-American triathlete. He's qualified for Kona twice, and I think he's ranked in the top 20 for like endurance runs, right? Not only is this dude saying, yeah, like I can help you out, but I've also done this quite a bit, right? It's safe to say that he's an expert in running and triathlete type rehabilitation, right? A niche practice that he's invested a lot of time in, not only on the research side, runs the run. Yeah, doesn't walk the walk, he runs the run. Not just on the research and on the bookwork side, but on the practical level. Like, it's one thing to talk about reducing knee pain by increasing step cadence. It's another thing to get on the frickin' treadmill with the metronome and try to improve your step cadence and when you're running, right? That's the understanding. That's the expert level knowledge base that some of these populations need, these higher level populations, in my opinion, that need. Guys like Kelly Starrett, right, who takes a lot of heat in our profession. I'm not really sure why. The dude puts out an incredible amount of content and has been just grinding it for decades now. Owns a CrossFit gym, trains CrossFit daily, does weightlifting, high-level weightlifting, can go out and run a 100-mile run through the hills, does a long multiple-hour paddle across some ocean, like challenges himself so that when he steps out and says he has expertise in this field, he's got some stuff on his resume that can support that statement, right? Ultimately, guys, the message is to build some competency in our own movement. If we're going to really proclaim in our communities that we're the movement expert, you need to look around at your community and say, what's the expert level stuff that's being done? And I think in most communities, there's a lot of high level movement that's being done. More movement gurus are stepping out. There's a lot of high qualified coaches out there who never got a PT degree, but are very, very good at cleaning up and improving some movement, making stuff look more technically efficient. And that matter, I think we have to eat a big piece of humble pie at some point and just walk in the door and say, I got some skills and some understanding, but I want to learn from you. I need some help on what you're doing. I want to see how you're getting results. And I think that really goes a long way. I can speak to that. That was kind of my approach when I stepped into my CrossFit gym, was like, you guys are high level trainers. I just want to learn what you're doing, how you're doing it. Like how are you getting the results that you're getting? And, that makes for a really nice collaboration. If that's really what we're looking to do, if we're really looking to collaborate and move the needle on some of this stuff and get people's movement looking a lot better, I think we need to work much better with other professions. And peeling that expert logo off our hat for a moment and eating some humble pie is not a bad place to start. John says, I'm definitely tired of hearing other clinicians critical of movements and stuff, and they haven't actually done it at all. Dude, that could be an entire another rant that I don't think anyone wants to hear me get started on, but 100%. It's like, how can you hold an opinion on something that you physically have never tried, right? It's like, I don't like sushi, but I've never tried sushi. Once I tried sushi, I love sushi, and now I'll buy it at the grocery store, right? So it's very different once you try the sushi, if that makes sense. Jeremy says, never ask a patient to do anything you wouldn't or haven't done yourself. It's just having competency. It's really the message that I want to, like, and this is something that we are so thankful for in our online cohort with our Essential Foundations, is that we expose a lot of really great clinicians to a lot of movements that they are unaccustomed performing, and it's out of their wheelhouse. It's very uncomfortable at first, but we know all the best learning happens when you're a little bit uncomfortable. And so we're able to step out there and say, okay, let's throw our hat in the ring. Let's try this. Let's try a front squat. Let's try a push press. Let's try a clean and jerk. And we really get some good analysis of that. We really develop over the course of those 8 weeks, and clinicians come out of there with a much higher level of competency in some of these movements, to the extent that they reach back out to us later and they're like, it was from that confidence that I went into my local CrossFit gym, that I had a conversation with the owner, that we're going to meet for coffee on Friday and talk about a side hustle opportunity. I think that stuff unfolds when we're willing to kind of step into that and be a novice again and be learners and work on developing some competency in these areas. John, another comment there, not more than other people, just more than I expected. When I first got around the sport, learn from anyone and everyone. Yeah, it's not the degree that tells you who you can and can't learn from. There's a lot of experience, a lot of expertise out there that we would much benefit learning from. Okay, guys, that's 15 minutes. Again, big week as far as kicking off the daily show, the PT on Ice daily show. If you're liking this format, please leave us a review, maybe on the Facebook page or on iTunes. If you listen to this stuff on iTunes and you're downloading the podcast right now, go ahead and give us a rating, give us Give us 5 stars if you like us. Give us 3 stars if you don't. It's okay. I mean, it's not, but it's okay. Give us a little review. Tell us what you think if you like how it's going. Just a few points. You guys can peel out of here if you're in a hustle. But if you're wondering where everyone's at this week or weeks coming up, Jeff's rocking and rolling in Washington. It looks like this weekend. But big news: virtual ice, Vice, as no one likes to call it, opens up again. And the next cohort opens up 10/3, so the 3rd of October. The doors will be open for, it looks like, 2 weeks. They'll be closed up on the 17th, so your next chance to get into virtual ice format, where there's 2 modules per month, a lot of different learning that goes on, going through the full curriculum. That is from the 3rd of October to the 17th. Jump in there. That's the last chance to jump in before the end of this year. Upcoming courses, Justin Dunaway doing a lot of thrust manip down in North Carolina. That's in Charlotte on the 21st and 22nd. The same weekend, Ryan and I are up in Recharge in Maryland. We're doing the Fitness Athlete Live course there. And soon thereafter, the 3rd and 4th of November, Justin's doing thrust out in Boston. And I got to tell you, I've always wanted to see Boston. Boston, walk around. Tom Brady, the best quarterback ever. Maybe I'll try to make a trip out to Boston and see some of the sites out there. Anyways, that's a lot of stuff happening. You can always find more on the ICE Facebook page. Again, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it. Look forward to having a nice discussion in the thread. Otherwise, enjoy your Friday and have a great weekend after that. We'll see you guys.